All right, welcome to Doomed Radio, guys. I am so thankful that you're actually listening to this radio because as much as we love doing it, if you weren't listening, then it would be falling on deaf ears. It would be a waste of time, and it's not a waste of time. I am Captain Morgan, and tonight I have with me Diggs.
How's it going, guys?
And we are going to kick this off with a new season. It's been so long, might as well call it a new season. But this is going to be episode 5, and we're going to talk about the Xbox One, Halo 6, and Game of Thrones. I think Xbox One X is going to be a real big turning point for console gaming. For the sole reason that it's going to be the largest, strongest console on the market. It's going to dominate. As far as hardware goes, it's going to dominate everything out there right now. The big thing being 4K. 4K is an emerging technology, and everybody wants it because it's so clear. And while the PlayStation 4 claims to have 4K, all they do is upconvert stuff to 4K.
I agree.
The
The
Xbox One X, yeah.
It's got 2160p frame buffers, and it's got the HD range and wide color game. Was it gamut? I think that's how it's pronounced. But it's gonna be amazing on especially games like Halo 6 that we will be talking about later in our episode.
Yeah. The Scorpio engine. It's 6 teraflops at 326 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth. That's lousy insane. That's lousy insane. One of the more key points for me is, and this was a problem with the 360 as well, was that every time that you asked it to do something important, it would make this humming, grinding noise as the fan tried to cool off the processor. But now they have advanced liquid cooling and a centrifugal fan to make sure that it stays cool and quiet.
One of the things I like about the Xbox One X, it's fully compatible with the Xbox One family of devices. So for me, that means I don't have to go out and buy extra controllers. I don't have to go buy another Kinect, which I don't use anymore now that I have the Gears of War S edition. So for me, that's huge, especially when they want $70 for a controller, and
yeah, right.
So that's just, it adds up, and it's annoying because we were under the impression at one time that the Xbox One was supposed to be compatible with 360 and stuff, and it was not. And I hope they live up to their word with this. I'm pretty sure they will because
not right away. I think that the backwards compatibility with the 360 on the Xbox One was a test run for making backwards compatibility with the One X. Because when you make a new console, like every 2 years, there needs to be some kind of demarcation line between why am I buying a console versus should I just buy a PC? Because if you're going to be buying a new console every 2 years, you might as well just buy a PC that you can upgrade every 2 years. Instead of, for cheaper too. Because you can buy the parts a lot cheaper than you can buy the full system. I don't know if that's something that they'll move backwards to. Making a system that you can upgrade. Like the Nintendo 64. Or if they're just making one console to rule them all for 3 or 4 years.
So what kind of games are we looking at here in the near future?
For the One X, there hasn't been a huge release. I know that Anthem, is it Anthem? I think it's Anthem. Is going to be a release game for the One X. And even though it looks a little Destiny to me, I am kind of pumped about it. It looks like 4-player squads going out into an open world, post-apocalyptic, but there's one salvation city that you spawn from. It's kind of cliche, but it looks really good. And the gameplay mechanics look they don't look refreshing, but they look finely tuned. So you'll have classes for everybody, and I really think that's what we're going to see more of. And I don't want to talk too much about the games. I mean, things are really going to change especially if Microsoft captures the console market with this new console, because it just destroys everything out there. If Sony doesn't answer the One X with something as good or better then Microsoft is going to flush console gaming down the proverbial toilet, because they stop innovating it. They make the best and then they just leave it there as a plateau. On that note, I think the game that is going to set the bar for gaming in the future is going to be Halo 6. And here's why. For me, when I think about the future of gaming, it has to be the virtual reality experience. And I think that when you take the hardware capabilities of the One X, the 4K, the crazy HDMI, the HDR10 support, the 12 gigs of GDDR5, and the 8 gigs of flash memory, it just screams virtual reality to me. And if they can make a Halo experience on a virtual reality accessory, that will be the revolution that we're looking for in gaming. Like when we went from top-down gaming to Grand Theft Auto 3, when we went from Diablo to World of Warcraft, these huge gameplay changes, bringing in more people, changing the perspective, renewing a world that we're used to. That's the difference that it's going to make. And if they do that with a single player story or somehow incorporate it into the multiplayer, that's what's going to set the bar for the next generation of video games.
No, I completely agree with that. And one of the things about Halo 5 is they brought in that the Spartan abilities and stuff. So it made that debut in number 5, like I said. But I'm curious to see where they take that in 6, because every Halo has brought something new to the table, and those abilities, people got to personalize their Spartan a little bit more, and more games, more and more. And on 5, I think that ability was kind of that standard of being who you wanted to, your Master Chief to be, your Spartan.
Right.
And so now I have expectations. I'm sure everyone else does too. But you gotta raise that bar, because what's next,
They usually bring in some new vehicle. So whether that's going to be like drop ships, you have the option to pilot a drop ship, or some variation on an existing vehicle, like the Wasp. We make the Wasp like a 2 or 3 or 4 man vehicle. Some vehicle change is gonna happen. And then along with that, what I'd really like to see, and what annoyed me the most with vehicles in Halo 5, was the lack of credit that the driver got. I am the driver. That's what I do. I drive. Whenever somebody says, I need a pickup, that's me. When somebody says, I got a vehicle, that's me. I go drive it. And for a long time, I didn't get any credit for the kills that my passengers were getting. Now
not even
they made it so that I would get an assist.
Yeah.
Right. I get an assist, which is better than nothing. But still, vehicles are intrinsic to Halo now. I mean, they were when Halo first came out. The multiplayer Warthog. That was fresh and new and cool, and cooperative gaming kind of brought the original Xbox into the gaming marketplace. How they make that work in Halo 6 remains to be seen, but I don't think that it's going to get ignored, especially when Halo 5 got hammered so hard by fanboys. It was received pretty well by game critics in general, but the fanboys just went to town on it, and mostly because they left Master Chief out of most of the story.
Yes.
I think that's going to change. I really think that's going to change. I think that Master Chief is going to make a huge comeback. They obviously can't stop using Locke. I think he's in it now for better or worse. But how they use him, I think that's going to be key. How they use Locke to support Master Chief in a meaningful way without making him annoying. Because he was annoying, and nobody wants a Jar Jar Binks in their video game, because
he was
basically
totally
what
a Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, nobody wants a Jar Jar. And like Buck, man, like Buck should have been Locke, and Locke should have been, a gravestone. He should have had his 15 seconds of fame, made that Steven Seagal death in the first 5 minutes, and then
just make a quick cameo and be done.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Completely agree.
Yeah. I mean, we're due for it, for sure. As far as Halo games go, the Halo 4 was released in 2012. Yeah, the fourth quarter of 2012. Halo 5 came out in November of 2015, which would put Halo 6 on pace to come out in the fourth quarter of 2018. So probably Christmas time next year we can see some Halo-ness on Xbox. Assuming that you can even afford the Xbox One X, because I think the starting point is going to be $500, and if you get a special one, it's going to be probably $600. Yeah. Halo is team play. And as a community, as DDC anyway, Doomsday Gaming, as we've experienced each Halo game. I mean, when I joined up with you guys, it was Halo 4. It was the tail end of Halo 4. And in Halo 4, they did the teamwork
in the firefight
fairly well.
That was
Halo 5 was a bit better. They tried to reinvent multiplayer gaming with Warzone, which, yeah, I mean, you can argue Warzone either way. Some people felt that it worked, other people didn't. For me, it was more about the firefight, absolutely more about the cooperative survival mode than it was about the lopsided PvP of Warzone, where if you played long enough, you'd end up with the best weapons and bring them out at the end of the match for like an insta win. That's where the fine tuning is going to come in. But for us, we dominated when it came to controlling vehicles, controlling the landscape, and controlling the objectives. So as long as they stick with the core of what Halo is, which is a multiplayer game. I mean, the story's great, and it's fun co-op. But Halo has always been a multiplayer game where two teams can compete over an objective. And whether that's over kills, a flag, or bases, its strongest point has always been not how good you are, but how good you are as a team.
Exactly. That's where we did so well is, we could have had a horrible person on even in our clan or on our team, and as long as they worked well with us, I mean, we turn them into a driver and make them drive and stuff. No, that's not saying you. You are an excellent driver, and I'm pretty sure I racked up most of my kills were from the back of the gun of your vehicle. But I'm just saying in general,
You're
as
trying
a
to tell
team,
me
you
I
work.
suck at
If you
Halo.
work as a team, you get good results. And if we get other co-op players who jumped in with us, if they worked with us, we'd always win. And that's how it should be, where you get these glorified fanboys that go out there and they want a one-man show it in a big team battle, and it's like, that's not how this works. You know, it's big team. I don't. You got
Right.
56 kills and 4 deaths. Ooh,
Yeah.
big deal. Because what does that show?
Yeah, right. Who cares
I
if you
want
have
that win.
50 kills if your team
I don't
loses?
care about my
Yeah,
KD
right.
on this.
Yeah,
I'm not on
exactly.
Halo. One of the games I would like to see him bring back is Oddball, and that was one of the games that in fact, that's how I got introduced into the clan. Is we were playing Oddball, and I met Emperor himself, and he asked me to play with him because there were 3 of them, and they were playing with randoms all night, and they came across me, and I worked well with them, and we won I think it was 10, 15 games in a row, and the rest was history. So it's an excellent game, and good team building especially when you're running only 4 people, you know.
And after they picked you up, you found me.
I found you.
And you can't talk about Halo and Halo multiplayer without talking about the Forge.
Oh, that is excellent
the
gameplay.
The Forge has always been a real hit or miss for how people perceive Halo as a whole. You can have a good story, you can have a solid multiplayer, but when you offer a map-making aspect to a game, it has to be good. It has to be well-rounded. It has to work. You know, you have to be able to do it easily. Nobody wants to have a piece of game where you have to go and learn HTML to make it work.
Exactly.
Nobody's got that kind of time.
Now, if I'm right with 5, they waited for about a year before they released that. Correct?
Yeah, right.
To work out all the kinks
the
and
spawn
stuff.
points were still messed up to this day.
Yes.
The spawn points don't work right. So I'm sure some of that is operator error, but that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's still on them, because it should be that easy. It needs to be simple. It needs to have variety and options, but they need to make it self-building to a point. And hopefully we see that in Halo 6. I hope because I really love, we have made some massive, awesome maps together. And it would be a shame if they let that slide. It really would. It would be a shame. It would be a crying shame.
Completely agree.
All right. Well, stay tuned while we take a short break to bring this important message from our sponsor. From the briny depths rises a crew of champions with a patchy focus on wealth, power, and Kraken-level mayhem. Masters of wind and sea in the pursuit of... Aye, did you mean that kind of wind? Arr, back to work, scalawag! Ahoy, mateys! We've been granted access to the Sea of Thieves Tech Alpha. Subscribe to the channel for updates on your favorite pirate game. Click the notification button if you desire to be a true pirate, and leave a comment so we know exactly what kind of pirate mayhem to embark on. Arr! As far as entertainment goes, when I am not playing Elder Scrolls Online, sorry Halo, when I am not playing Elder Scrolls Online, I am watching the new season of Game of Thrones.
As am I.
I love me some Game of Thrones.
I definitely
and it's not for the gratuitous, nonsensical
Wait.
Merely there for
Before
the
we
sake
go
of
much farther,
itself.
you gotta put spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Oh yes, spoiler alert.
If you haven't caught up
Spoiler
on your
alert.
latest episode, turn the tape off now. Because we are going to get into the details.
Yeah, because Daven goes to pick up Gendry, who's the bastard son of Baratheon, and brings him back. So if you didn't turn it off, I just spoiled the episode for you.
And Jaime Lannister lives. Boo.
Yeah, he lived. I know. Well, you know what? He didn't. He doesn't really bother me as much as
he does not. Seriously.
Yeah, as the bird guy there, his little birds, the eunuch. I can't remember his name. He bothers me. And Littlefinger. It's a toss-up. I know they hate each other and they're foils, but every time I think that the little bird guy, I can't remember his name. I'm just going to call him the eunuch. And you guys feel free to comment and shame me into not knowing one of the main characters' names. But every time I think he redeems himself just a little bit, he drops the ball.
Yep.
Hey, he's a sneaky snake. He's a sneaky snake. He's a sneaky snake. It's a sneaky snake.
I completely agree. And I think Sansa Stark has got something up her sleeve too after this episode, and I think Arya is on top of that one.
Well, funny. I think Sansa is right where she needs to be, doing what she does best, which is kind of hold the status quo.
No, I agree completely.
I mean, she's not a warrior, and she is not the politician that Littlefinger is. But she is a leader that the people can love because she's honest, and more often than not, her heart is on her sleeve. You know, her emotions are usually at the top of her red head, and I think that sticks with people. Otherwise, when she had that meeting, she wouldn't have been able to placate the other leaders, the other bannermen. She wouldn't have been able to talk them down from getting all bent out of shape over Jon Snow not being there. What was your moment? What was your moment in that last episode?
For me, that was seeing Jaime's face when the meeting was arranged with his brother down in that cave. It was mixed emotions because you could see it in his face because he's like, he didn't know whether he should kill him or whether he should hug him, He just had that look on his face. It was just like, kind of like, what the heck are you doing here? That was just kind of crazy for me. I like that moment, but also just the dragons, man. When she called them all out,
I know,
to bend a knee or die.
The dragons are cool, and they really are a story changer. For me, it was when Jon Snow stood in front of that dragon and put his hand on its muzzle, and I was like,
oh. That was awesome.
I was like, how cool would it be?
Yeah.
If
thing
she was riding one and he was riding one,
and that's why it kind of makes my expectations for the next the next epised, or when they finally go into battle against the White Walkers, is he's gonna be riding one of those. Because he has that touch. He touched that dragon, and if I'm correct, I don't think those dragons have ever let anyone besides her touch them.
Oh no, they eat people.
Yeah,
they would just eat him. Like they would reach out to touch him, and he would just be like.
And I think there was that.
Done.
I think she saw that too. Kind of wish maybe I read it wrong, but maybe there was something in her face, like maybe that was kind of the same thought.
Those two are kindling as something little special.
Yes, they are. Fire and ice.
They had a couple of moments there. Yeah, when they were in the cave in the previous episode.
Yes, when they were the history.
He's like,
on the walls.
Here, hold my torch. And she's like, oh, your torch is so hot. Just like, come on.
With that code word.
So, if I would have to say who is going to be the next person to die, I think it's going to be Tyrion. The next, major character to die, I think, is going to be Tyrion. And here's why. He's kind of used up pretty much everything he's good at. And he's doing it all pretty poorly. And now that Mormont is back, and Gendry is back, now you have some guys who have some legit leadership skills. Some guys who can really step up and be leaders of an army and have good strategy and know their enemy. Tyrion's been making a lot of mistakes lately, both politically and strategically.
Yes,
and
I agree.
It has cost her a lot. Thousands of men. He kind of struck it rich on the beach. When I forget what season it was, 3 or 4, when they bombed the ships with fire, the green fire.
Yes.
But that was kind of the last time he really stepped up. He's just been waning now. And it's to the point where if he were to die, it wouldn't really affect the story.
Not this
that's
late.
My guess.
And I agree. Not this late. I mean, as much as I like him because he brings that kind of that cool, unique, but at the same time, I agree with you, man. He's just, I don't know. There's something about him. It's like last season, I probably would have been heartbroken if he died. Because there's always those characters. But this season so far, I think the main focus is on Snow, and
Yeah. Well, it's a story. It's the song of fire and ice.
Yes.
And, and she's fire and he's ice.
Yep.
And that's and that's gonna be it. I mean, they're gonna be the last two people standing, and everything will be ash or frozen, and it'll be those two, and they'll restart the world with their own little, blonde-haired, mustachy children. Yeah, and then they'll start, Game of Thrones.
Dragons
Game of
and dire
Thrones,
wolves.
the third age. Yeah, exactly.
And then you're gonna have a dragon that mates with a dire wolf, and it's gonna be a flying dire wolf dragon frame bleeding awesomeness.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get a little too far. But that's just a wish.
Maybe they'll mate Tyrion with the dragon.
No, that'd be hilarious.
We can have a
T-Rex. You'd end up with a T-Rex.
Yeah.
a dragon without wings is a T-Rex.
Kind of like Shrek and the donkey, The dragon turns around all mean, and he goes to blow smoke and just blows a heart shape around Tyrion.
Hey,
He'd go back to drinking.
Hey, Tyrion.
Yeah. That's all we have. Thank you for hanging out and chilling with us and listening to us talk about things that we have experienced as a community. If you're interested in us, come check us out. Doomsday Gaming. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Xbox Live. We'd love to hear from you. Remember, hit that subscribe button. We have so much more content coming. Hit subscribe. Make sure your notifications are on. Leave a comment. Send us some love. And until next time, see you online.
Happy gaming, guys.